I'm Sunny Longbons. I work for the Robin Hood Foundation, where I've been there since 2003, and essentially my work in individual giving is really just about relationship building, so we'll really talk about that today with a focus on next-gen audiences. So a bit about Robin Hood, for those of you who may not know. Robin Hood, we fight poverty in New York City. 1.8 million of our neighbors live in poverty. To put this in perspective, if this were the population of a city, this would be the 5th largest city in the United States. That's behind Houston and Philadelphia. Poverty may not be what you think of. For sure, it's the person that you see on the street corner who's in desperate need, but it's also a woman fleeing domestic violence with her children. It's a veteran suffering from PTSD that can't hold down a job. It's a recent immigrant coming to the United States who has English language barriers which prevent them from getting work. It's a foster care youth who's bounced from home to home and has finally aged out of the foster care system and doesn't have friends, family to turn to help them along the way. It's all of these things. We find, fund, and we create programs in schools that help lift these New Yorkers to a better quality of life and a higher living standard. We were founded in 1988, and since then, we've raised and distributed over $2 billion in goods and services to the best soup kitchens, housing programs, schools, job training programs, you name it. While there's thousands and thousands and thousands of nonprofits in the city, we fund the 200 best. Our board, you may know this, our board covers all of our administrative expenses, which is incredible. But we have no endowment, which means every year we start at zero and have to raise all the funds necessary. So that's a lot of fundraising. Events is a key piece of our fundraising strategy. We actually raise over 50% of our annual revenue through our events. We find that events allow us to connect meaningfully and authentically with our supporters. So I myself would take sharing a cocktail with someone at a cocktail hour or a benefit any day over an office visit where I'm just competing with their phone and their email. So it really is a wonderful first interaction with many of our supporters, and also allows us to grow our pipeline, as people will often invite their friends to join them for the evening as well. So we knew that when we wanted to start focusing on next gen, that events would be a really critical piece to that. But we really didn't start gaining traction with this movement until we reprioritized our goals a little bit. So once we defined our primary goal with this group as being cultivation and stewardship and growth, making new connections, as opposed to just primarily leading with annual revenue, it really helped us refocus the program. So why is NextGen important to Robin Hood? It really has helped us grow beyond our existing donor base. So many know that we have a strong foothold in the financial community. Our NextGen group includes more people from tech and media and arts and all sorts of other great diverse industries. It extends our reach to corporate sponsors and partners that really have a strong interest in this group as well, and otherwise we might not be able to pull in some of that support and some of those dollars. And excitingly, it generates a lot of buzz and really keeps us young and relevant. So we often say now around the office that this PYT group sort of helped us get our mojo back again. In 2 years ago, we launched our philanthropic Young Things, which is a PYT, for those of you that are Michael Jackson fans, sort of a nod there. And it was our first effort really kind of targeting this next-gen audience. We sort of structured it as a membership-based program. In our first year, we had 300 members. And this year, we were really excited that it grew to over 600 members. So NextGen is really important for Robin Hood because of our history. We were founded in 1988, and it was a couple guys who were in their late 20s and their early 30s. They looked around at what was going on in the city, and sort of felt like they needed to do something. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to do it, but they felt compelled to do something. We're finding that the PYT group is really recapturing that spirit, and we're providing a channel for this sort of heart and effort. So the next couple slides are just a few of my favorite quotes of PYT members that, again, I think capture this tremendous caring spirit. As I mentioned, we really gained traction with this effort when we started focusing on the program and looking just to break even. So we thought, if we gather this group together and we put together great experiences and we connect with new people, and even as important, we help teach this generation about how to be smart givers of their time and their money, then we would be happy just to cover our costs. So as I mentioned, we structured the program as a membership program, $365 annually or $1 a day. And in exchange, our PYT members would get a gamut of special invites, exclusive events for them, but also equally as important, special access to our existing high-quality Robinhood events and programs. And that membership really generates over $100,000 annually, so it's sort of a good backbone for us to be able to rely on. But what is even more exciting and was a wonderful surprise was that the program has really generated legs of its own. So we have PYT members that, in addition to serving on host committees and selling tickets to our parties, they also host events on their own with very little Robinhood involvement, and we directly receive those funds. In fact, in the past 2 years, we had 2 events that each raised over $50,000, which was really exciting and tapped into a whole new network. But very much, as I mentioned before, this program isn't just about fundraising, and that was an important piece that we heard from the members that was critical for them. It's also about giving them that hands-on experience and teaching them about philanthropy. So our PYTs participate in what we call our unplugged learning sessions, where they learn about the issues. They participate in book clubs, volunteer days, and some have even gone on to join the junior boards of the groups that we fund. So the support for this program really comes from the top down. Here you see a great quote from our founder, Paul Tudor Jones. Next, I'm going to show you a quick video where you'll hear directly from him and other of our Robinhood leaders and see a little bit about our satellite party program, which we launched this past May, and I'll touch on a little bit later.
That idea of being together with a cause as the unifying purpose is very important, and you never know what's going to come out of it, but I'm certain something good will come out of it.
Whether it's poverty, whether it's the environment, whether it's social causes, you need an army. You need an army to win a battle.
To drive people to these new solutions, you have to bring them together.
This is an opportunity where you can help out so many different people.
You want to be as inclusive as you possibly can. You want to recruit as many people as you possibly can.
I think that's a great thing about passing on those acts of kindness to that next generation, to that next person, is that it goes on forever.
The important thing is to continue to build the next generation of leaders of the organization.
So the great thing about this year is we're going to have 2 simultaneous events for people primarily in their 20s, 400 in one venue, 700 in another venue. This is the next generation of soldiers that are going to be taking on this fight, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be leading the charge.
United is making it possible for more people to be part of the Robin Hood family, for more people to help save lives.
We didn't get here overnight. Even as far back as 10 years ago, we put together a program. We thought we knew what this group wanted. We got it all ready, and then we had no takers. So in the time that followed that, we sort of licked our wounds and decided that we'd do a lot more listening as opposed to just thinking and planning. So we asked a lot of people. We did some informal focus groups, and here's what we learned was really important to this group. In addition to public affiliation with Robin Hood, this group wasn't so much interested in joining a Robin Hood junior board. Instead, they were much more focused, and it was much more attractive to open up our experience to them and provide special access to our existing programs. To be handpicked by someone that they respected who was already involved with Robin Hood and selected to participate and help sell tickets, serve on a host committee, help be a voice in this program also was incredibly attractive. We learned that they really wanted to focus on the work that Robin Hood did and the impact that they would make, as opposed to just Robin Hood the organization, which was really interesting for us because we always think, we've got such a strong brand and we want to lead with that. We also learned that people really want to meet someone, so paying attention to that gender balance at parties is also really important. They want to know that there's going to be potential people that they could meet in the event. We also sort of spent a lot of time thinking about events for this group. So our strategy of connecting with influencers, giving them deep, independent, individualized attention, and then supporting them as they sort of reached out to their larger network and invited them to come to our events and sold tickets, helps us get to that scale and reach that army that Paul was talking about. We really saw it as being our job to provide them the platform to highlight their generosity. So, giving them content, sort of spoon-feeding content that would make them proud to share to their networks, and just giving those shareable moments and opportunities was a great way for us to spread the word and reach new audiences. We really believe in the strength of a personal invite, so using technology that's going to make it really easy for them to share and reach out on our behalf was also a key piece. And then ultimately thinking about those strategic partners that we can pull in. It takes a lot to do an effort like this, especially if you're trying to do it on the same night as your biggest event of the year. So who are those partners that can help get you to that finish line? In terms of finding these influencers, it's such a key piece of our strategy, so I wanted to spend just a minute on thinking through that. We ask our board, our leadership council, Robin Hood's leadership, who are those rising stars that we should talk to now? We look at the next gen of 5 years ago. Who are they mentoring that they have a lot of respect for, and we can help introduce them to the idea and concept of philanthropy. We look at our own Robin Hood donor base, so certainly the PYT group is a great pool of people who are inclined to do this sort of thing. But we also look at who buys a lot of tickets to our event, who tends to naturally rally people and bring a big group along. And then also, this is sort of a silly one, but who shows up in a lot of photos? So as you're looking through your photo catalog and you see that one girl that's in every photo because she knows everybody, that's a good person to get to know. And then in terms of staying in touch with these people, you don't want to start from scratch every year when you're looking to plan your next event. So thinking about how do you cultivate that relationship throughout the whole entire year. We place a strong focus on individualized attention, especially with those hosts. If we can walk out of an event and have really strong, great relationships with that host committee, then that's a real win for us. So I have kind of a real-life example of this working. In 2005, we asked board for suggestions as we were putting together a host committee for a Robin Hood Rocks concert with the Counting Crows. And we met an individual who shared our sort of same passion as of mobilizing this group. And fast forward to today, he owns these 2 companies that are really about cultivated group experiences. So when we decided to take on this challenge for the night of our benefit, we called him, and he ended up being a great partner for that effort. Without we wouldn't have been able to pull it off. And here's the headline from a couple days after our event. Despite raising $101 million, the headline in the Wall Street Journal was about us engaging the next generation. And frankly, that was a real win for us. We were really excited about that. So just a little bit more on the parties that you saw, because I think it's a great example of everything I've kind of talked about today being put in motion. We pulled in strategic partners, Host Committee and Inside Hook, which are the 2 companies that I just mentioned. We pulled in sponsors that had a real interest in this demographic. Moet Hennessy, United Airlines came in as title sponsor, Glam Squad, Humans of New York, Chicalicious Dessert Bar. And in order to reach 1,000 people, we pulled in 60 hosts, 20s and 30-somethings, who on average sold about 15 tickets each, priced at $150, far cry from our benefit ticket, which is priced at $3,000. And these hosts felt the love. That night we had them with badges, special badges, so we were able to connect with each and every one of them and say thank you and celebrate with them. In addition to all the follow-up all the lead-up that we did, afterwards we followed up with sort of special incentives and perks and gifts and thank yous, and we've since folded them into a lot of our existing programming. So some final tips. Definitely for us, we really didn't start getting our groove with this until we really took a hard look, and everyone at Robin Hood leadership was really aligned about what our primary goal was with this organization, with this demographic, really being about meeting people and cultivating them, and Robin Hood being okay with making that long-term investment. One thing that we continue to think a lot about, and I think it will really help us scale long-term, is about that internal capacity building. So what resources do we have? What existing events do we have that we can continue to fold this group into so that we're not always duplicating, creating new programming just for them. And so I'll leave you with this sort of final thought, which I think is a wonderful example of what Robin Hood is trying to do, which is really creating that space for everybody to have a role in fighting poverty in New York City. So thank you.